They said it was simply due to aging, slower blood flow, diminished performance. "That's normal after 60, the doctor remarked nonchalantly. Yet 3 months later, he found himself in the ER, experiencing what seemed to be a heart attack. In reality, it wasn't cardiac-related. It was blocked blood vessels in other areas. No one informed him that inadequate circulation could silently undermine his intimacy, self-esteem, and bond with his partner. Hello, I'm Dr. Monroe. For over 30 years, I've been assisting men in reclaiming their health, vitality, and yes, their closeness. I've worked with thousands of men over 60, and I can confidently say that aging isn't the core issue. The real concern is what's not being discussed and how simple adjustments can make a significant difference. Many believe baking soda is just for cleaning or baking, but when used correctly, as I'm about to explain, it can greatly enhance blood flow, arterial flexibility, and nitric oxide levels. Believe it or not, something you likely have in your kitchen could be the key to feeling younger, more vibrant, and connected in the bedroom. Don't worry, I won't bombard you with medical terms. I will guide you through how it works, why it's effective, and how to use it safely. However, I must warn you that improper usage could have negative effects, especially at our age. So stick with me, because shortly I'll reveal a method that's been subtly transforming the lives of men over 60 nationwide. Before we proceed, if this kind of practical, life-altering health advice resonates with you, I'd suggest hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications. This way, you won't miss out on tips aimed at helping you feel stronger, more connected, and in control of your health. If you find this information useful so far, please type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your input helps me tailor this to be even more beneficial for you. Let's address the truth that most men over 60 rarely hear from their doctors, which is costing them more than they realize. The gradual decline in blood flow that begins in your 50s doesn't solely impact energy. It slowly erodes strength, mood, and the ability to feel close to your loved one. It starts subtly, colder hands and feet, feeling winded more easily, perhaps just a decreased desire, but over time it accumulates, and ignoring it could lead to more severe health issues. One prevalent issue among men over 60 is poor blood circulation. I recall a man named Walter, 68, who was retired and had been married for over 40 years. He visited my office not for heart issues or intimacy concerns, but simply said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore." His hands were cold, even during summer. He was falling asleep earlier each night, and while he didn't say it outright, I sensed he was grappling with an unexplainable sense of loss. Upon further discussion, he confessed that intimacy had become infrequent, awkward, and at times even painful, not physically but emotionally. He felt as if he was gradually fading from the man he once was. Walter's experience is far more common than many realize. It's one of the most widespread and overlooked challenges faced by men over 60, all stemming from blood flow issues. As we age, the inner walls of our blood vessels become stiffer, making arteries less flexible. Blood doesn't circulate as freely, and the smaller vessels responsible for warmth, energy, and responsiveness begin to constrict like aging pipes. This process doesn't happen overnight. It stealthily steals vitality until we dismiss it as merely aging. However, it's not just aging, it's poor circulation, impacting not only physical health, but also emotional well-being. It can leave you feeling frustrated, disconnected, and questioning if the best years are behind you. I've seen men doubt themselves, question their worth, and even shy away from affection, not out of indifference, but because their bodies aren't responding as they once did, and no one ever explained why. The good news is this decline isn't unavoidable. There are methods to support circulation, restore flexibility to blood vessels, and reignite the spark you thought was lost forever. Surprisingly, one of the simplest tools I've recommended could be in your kitchen right now. baking soda, but not in the way you might typically use it. Let me show you how this ordinary household item, when utilized correctly, can initiate the reversal of the very process that has been holding you back, and why the next few minutes could change your perspective on your body forever. If you're still with me and this message resonates, please type 1 in the comments. It signals that you're engaged, care about your health, and are ready to take the next step. Now let's delve into the serious repercussions of poor circulation. I'll never forget the moment Charles broke down in my office. At 72, he was proud and always well-groomed, the type of man who took care of everyone else, his family, neighbors, and even a stray cat that wandered into his yard. But that day, he seemed smaller, not physically but emotionally. He leaned in, lowered his voice, and said, "Doc, I don't feel like a man anymore." His blood work appeared fine, and his heart sounded steady, but I understood the underlying issue. His body wasn't supplying blood where it mattered most, not just to his extremities, but to the areas connected to his confidence, intimacy, and bond with his wife. Poor circulation wasn't merely affecting his health, it was gradually unraveling his identity. When blood flow diminishes, it's akin to the lights in your house dimming room by room. First, your energy fades, then your sleep quality declines, followed by your ability to respond to intimacy. It's not just physical, it seeps into your mind, causing self-doubt and emotional distance from your partner, even when they're right beside you. This gradual decline isn't something that can be resolved with a pill or wished away with time. It requires understanding what's genuinely going wrong inside. Medically, it relates to your endothelial function, which is the lining of your blood vessels. When it's compromised, nitric oxide production decreases. Without nitric oxide, your vessels can't expand properly, and blood flow is restricted. Unfortunately, the smallest vessels, the ones responsible for arousal, warmth, and vitality, suffer first. What may begin as mild fatigue or a diminished response in intimate situations can escalate into something much more serious, such as early signs of vascular disease, heightened risk of stroke, and even erectile dysfunction that becomes unresponsive to treatment. Sadly, most men remain unaware of these issues until they start affecting their lives in unexpected ways. The encouraging news is that your body has an innate desire to heal. Blood vessels can regain flexibility, nitric oxide levels can be naturally restored, and you don't need to rely on synthetic medications with concerning side effects. In fact, there's a powerful yet straightforward method to begin restoring this system using something you've likely used your whole life, but not in this particular way. When I started sharing this approach with older patients, many returned expressing, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again." Now let's examine how baking soda, when used correctly, can aid in this healing process from within, and why it's far more than just a household remedy. I recall Harold, a soft-spoken 67-year-old retired math teacher, who visited me after trying everything: supplements, prescription medications, even embarrassing devices he found on late-night television. "Nothing works," he said, shaking his head. "I feel like I'm chasing shadows." He was weary, not just physically, but also spiritually. I asked him a question that took him by surprise. "Do you have baking soda in your kitchen?" He looked puzzled. "You mean for cookies?" I smiled and replied, "Yes, but not just for baking." Most people think of baking soda as something to keep in the fridge or to add to pancake batter, but few realize its potential benefits for the human body, particularly for men facing poor circulation, and its subtle impacts on energy, confidence, and connection. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, isn't a miraculous substance. It's a simple compound that, when utilized correctly, can promote better blood flow and oxygen delivery, which are crucial as we age. Here's why it's effective. As we age, our bodies tend to become more acidic due to diet, stress, and declining kidney function. This acid accumulation can constrict blood vessels and limit oxygen availability, two things you definitely want to avoid if you're already struggling with circulation. A small amount of baking soda mixed with water at the right time can help neutralize this excess acidity, gently balancing the body's pH and allowing blood to flow more freely. Improved circulation often translates to increased strength, warmth, and responsiveness, even in areas you thought were beyond repair. I've witnessed men like Harold, under guidance, start using it and notice small yet significant changes. More energy in the mornings, less stiffness, and a resurgence of interest where silence once prevailed. Of course, it's not a panacea, nor does it substitute for healthy habits, but for many, it's been the start of a tangible turnaround. When the body is supported properly, it begins to respond, sometimes in ways they never imagined. But I must emphasize that what works gently when done correctly can become harmful if rushed, miscalculated, or misapplied. This is where it can get complicated and potentially hazardous. Before you grab the box and start mixing, there's something crucial you need to understand. Let me guide you on how to use baking soda safely and what to avoid to prevent inadvertently worsening your situation while trying to improve it. I'll be frank, I've seen both outcomes with baking soda. I've seen it help men reclaim their vitality and confidence, but I've also witnessed it backfire when misused. One patient, Dennis, was a 70-year-old man who was active and still played golf twice a week. He came across information online about baking soda's benefits for blood flow and thought, why not? He began taking a teaspoon every morning and another at night, thinking that more would yield quicker results. Within a week, he experienced bloating, his blood pressure surged, and he ended up in the ER suffering from heart palpitations and confusion. His kidneys, already strained by years of unchecked stress, couldn't handle the excess. Baking soda isn't harmful in itself, but it becomes risky when individuals treat it like a quick fix without comprehending its effects. It's not akin to taking a vitamin. It's a potent compound that influences your body's internal chemistry, particularly your pH levels, fluid balance, and sodium content. For older adults, especially those on blood pressure medications or with any kidney sensitivities, this balance is delicate. The body operates like a finely tuned instrument at this age. Excess sodium, even from something as natural as baking soda, can disrupt heart rhythms, cause swelling, or elevate blood pressure to dangerous levels. I've had to explain this to several well-meaning patients who simply wanted to feel alive again but didn't recognize the risks of trial and error. The encouraging news is these dangers can be completely avoided if you use it correctly. And correctly doesn't just mean using less. It encompasses timing, hydration, understanding your medications, and closely monitoring how your body reacts. It's about asking the right questions, not rushing for results, and collaborating with your body rather than against it. I always remind my patients that just because something is natural doesn't automatically make it safe in any quantity. Water is natural, yet consuming too much too quickly can still be harmful. Baking soda can be a catalyst for genuine healing, but only when used cautiously, with respect, and ideally under professional guidance. If you're still with me, I recognize that you're not seeking a shortcut. You're looking for something effective, something that helps you reconnect with yourself without jeopardizing your health. So, let me explain how to do this the right way. For most generally healthy adults over 60, the safest starting point is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda mixed into a full glass of water, consumed on an empty stomach, ideally first thing in the morning, not after meals or before bed, and certainly not multiple times a day, just once. That may seem minimal, but believe me, when it comes to your internal balance, less is more. I recall one of my patients, Ray, who was 74 and struggling with afternoon energy dips and circulation issues that made even short walks feel like a challenge. We initiated that simple protocol, a quarter teaspoon each morning on an empty stomach in a full glass of water. Within 3 weeks, he told me, "I don't know what it is, Doc, but I feel clearer, steadier, and my hands aren't freezing anymore." Now here's something most people overlook: hydration. Baking soda is most effective when your body is well hydrated. This means drinking water throughout the day, not just when you feel thirsty. Proper hydration enhances circulation, allowing oxygen to travel more efficiently and improving the function of your organs, including those responsible for intimacy. Thus, don't focus solely on the baking soda itself. View it as part of a broader transformation in how you care for your body. If you're on medications, particularly for high blood pressure, heart, or kidney issues, always consult your doctor first. This isn't about instilling fear, it's about exercising caution. Your body has endured decades of life. It deserves careful consideration. You wouldn't drive a classic car without checking the engine first, would you? Treat your health. Similarly, most men don't require a miracle. They just need one small victory to inspire hope. A positive change that reassures them, you're not done, you're not broken, you're still in there. That's what this simple daily practice can represent, the beginning of that transformation. If all of this sounds encouraging, please stay with me a bit longer, as I'm about to share the story of a 76-year-old man who used this exact method, along with one small addition that elevated his results to an entirely new level. You won't want to miss what happened next. There's a man named Frank whom I often think about. He was 76, widowed and quiet, the type who only spoke when he had something meaningful to contribute. He came to see me after hearing about baking soda through a mutual acquaintance. He wasn't in search of a miracle. He simply wanted to feel more like himself again, more vibrant, more connected, and perhaps even open his heart to someone new. We began with the same routine I previously shared: a small dose of baking soda in the morning, careful hydration, and attentiveness to his body's signals. But he incorporated one additional element that made all the difference: consistency. He didn't just mix the solution once and forget it. He respected the process and allowed his body the time it needed to respond. Within a few weeks, the changes weren't dramatic, but they were consistent. Warmer hands, improved sleep, and more engagement in conversations. Then, one day, with a gentle smile, he remarked, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this closeness again, but I do." What I've shared may seem straightforward, but don't underestimate its impact. We've discussed how poor circulation silently affects millions of men over 60, robbing them of energy, weakening intimacy, and leading them to believe their best years are behind them. We've explored how baking soda, when used appropriately, can help restore balance, enhance blood flow, and rejuvenate areas that have felt numb or muted for too long. It's essential to understand that this isn't about quick fixes. It's about providing your body with the support it needs, gently, patiently, and respectfully. If you felt fatigued, disconnected, or even a bit hopeless about what's slipping away, I want you to know this: it's not too late. The potential for healing still resides within you. Your body hasn't given up. It's merely been waiting for you to listen. So perhaps this small change could be your starting point. One glass, one habit, one quiet decision to take your health, energy, and confidence seriously. Not someday, but today. Because you're not finished yet. You still matter, and there's more life ahead for you to embrace.